Michel Rivera versus Sergey Lipinets, 12 rounds in the 140-pound division. Very interesting. Rivera is moving up 5 pounds from 135 to 140. We know Lipinets has campaigned at 140 and 147, so he's naturally the bigger guy. Going to be very interesting. Let's get into it. Let's start with Michel Rivera, 24 wins, 1 loss, 14 wins by way of knockout. We are going to see the real Rivera stand up, so to speak, right? He's coming off a 6-month suspension from a failed drug test. Not sure how that's going to play its toll, how it's going to play its part in this fight, but he's in tough against Lipinets. Rivera, we know he's skilled. We know he's a good technical boxer, the athletic ability. And you would think since he moved up to 140 pounds, his punches would have a little bit more steam on them and the explosiveness in his movement would be better, right? He's also coming off a loss, the first loss of his career against Frank Martin. So he's going to be looking to get back into that win column against Frank Martin. It's not that he fought a bad fight to me personally. He just got beat to the punch in every way. Martin seemed like he had an answer for whatever Rivera was going to do, trying to do, and did. Rivera would land a straight hand. Frank would step back and counter him. Rivera would try and change angles. Martin would adjust, change angles as well, and fire back shots and combinations from different angles. Martin was using his jab before slipping in another shot to hit the body, to hit the head, man. He was just a step ahead. I also thought, man, that was just, Frank Martin's best performance to date, right? He was much better defensively than we've seen him before. Right. The straight left of Martin was on point that night, had a lot of success, barely missed. Rivera didn't make too much adjustments as the fight was going on, right? He didn't have a lot of success to me throughout the fight. He wasn't as consistent throughout the fight as well, too, right? Like he would land a shot on Martin and then Martin would fire back 3 shots right back. I thought Michel Rivera needed to take a little bit more risk, right? He was just trying to land, feint with the left and come through with the right. But every time he did that, Frank Martin would fire back with 3-piece combinations, and he always had an answer. And sometimes, man, Rivera has a way of lunging too much forward as he's shooting that straight hand down the middle. And it got to a point where it felt like Frank Martin knew what was coming and anticipated it. And at one point countered him and Rivera hit the canvas. And so you would think that he would have made better adjustments moving forward after the knockdown, but I still saw the same similar things, the same similar punch. And Frank Martin just did the same similar things by avoiding it and making sure that he had something to return fire with. I also felt like, man, Rivera looked like the bigger guy, but he wasn't using that physical advantage to his advantage. It was the smaller guy, Frank Martin, that was imposing his will from in close a little bit more, man. I thought Martin was extremely sharp that night as well. And all in all, Rivera just couldn't keep up with it. Rivera is usually the faster, more athletic guy than the opponents that he's faced. But Martin was able to do what he could do and then some. And sometimes you're not sure how to respond when you find someone who can do what you can do, because you're just like, you're fighting someone of a similar mirror in a way. So he just didn't have a response for it that night, man. The good thing in this fight for Rivera is that Lipinets is not as quick as Frank Martin. They are 2 different fighters, but Lipinets is a pressure fighter who is strong and durable and is going to be a lot more physical than Martin was. So there's a lot on the line here, and Rivera has to come prepared, has to be smart, has to get ready to make adjustments, has to get ready to weather a little bit of the storm. He didn't pick an easy fight by no means for his first opponent at 140 pounds coming off a loss. So we're going to see what happens, man. He does have the skill set to be able to neutralize some of the things that Lipinets can do, but can he do it? We'll see. Let's talk about his opponent, Sergey Lipinets. 16 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 13 wins by way of knockout. The former champion, man, is always going to be a tough test, especially at 140 pounds, 147. I mean, his losses came from when he fought Mikey Garcia and Jaron Boots Ennis. We know how good those 2 are in their own rights. But he's also got wins over Lamont Peterson, who was once a dominant figure during his time, and Omar Figueroa Jr. most recently. When he fought Jaron Ennis, man, he couldn't keep up with the speed of Ennis. He was trying to cut off the ring, but every time he'd feel like he got him in a spot where he could really do work, Ennis would step aside and fire back some hard shots, man. Some of those shots that Ennis was putting forth on Lipinets was just hard. And it was during the pandemic time, so you could hear everything. Lipinets was trying to make it a physical and grueling fight, but, he just couldn't really establish himself nor cut off the ring well enough to really impose his will. Again, man, he was eating jabs and straight hands most of that fight. Ennis was really, really starting to punish him past the point, and you could see that he was really starting to break down Lipinets, man. And there would be times where Lipinets seemed like he knew he was losing momentum and losing the fight, and so he would come out, I think it's the third round, and he would come out trying to get back some of that momentum and just putting everything into the shots, swinging heavy. But each time Ennis would step aside and fire back an uppercut or a right hook or a left hook, and it was just worse and worse and worse the more Lipinets was trying to impose his will. And it just got very, very ugly, man. It got very ugly. So I'm actually glad that fight was stopped because he didn't need to take all of that punishment. The good thing is that Rivera is not as big as a puncher as Jaron Ennis. In his most recent fight, he fought Omar Figueroa Jr. That was more a Lipinets type of fight where he didn't have to search to find you. Figueroa was right there in front of him and was willing to engage and willing to trade shots right inside the pockets. Lipinets is a good inside fighter. He knows how to make his punches count. Right? He doesn't need to be swinging from back here. It's snappy, it's from in close, and it's effective when he does get in close and he's able to do his thing. Man, I thought he beat up on Figueroa pretty good. Dropped him in the second round. And after that, man, it was just one of those grueling, punishing fights. Figueroa ate a lot of shots, man. You never want to see. I'm all for knockouts. I like the knockouts, man. I like seeing cats get knocked out. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Mike Tyson. You know what Mike Tyson does. Mike knocks cats out. But there's a difference between getting knocked out and taking a lot of punishment. I feel like if you get knocked out, it's over with, right? But when you're just taking consistent punishment round after round after round after round, I think there was a time when the camera zoomed in and Omar Figueroa, man, he was like spitting up blood. And it's just like, dude, just stop. But he was getting battered that fight. But again, man, a great comeback win for Sergey Lipinets. And he had a great showing right in his last fight. So Rivera is coming off a loss and moving up to a new division, trying to get back into the win column. Lipinets is going to make it tough, man. And so it's going to be very, very interesting. So who wins? Rivera knows that he can't do too much of this engaging in the pocket, standing and trading shots. Otherwise he's going to find himself on the canvas, in my opinion. He's going to have to be able to weather a little bit of that storm. You can't escape him all 10 rounds. Sometimes you're going to have to fight. And, Lipinets is a pressure fighter. He's going to bring that pressure, try to get him from in close. He's going to look to close the gap and then let his hands go when he is in range. It's a dangerous fight if it's on the inside, right inside the pocket, and a fight that Rivera won't win if that is the game plan, to stand there and trade shots. That's not a fight that he's going to win. And Lipinets has shown that he doesn't do so well against guys who can move and have speed and guys with good fundamentals. He doesn't have the best acumen with cutting off of the ring, and he doesn't have the best defense as well, too. So if you can slip and move and land your jabs and your straight hand and just find his timing and just anticipating and staying one step ahead, you're going to have a lot of success against Lipinets, as Jaron Ennis and Mikey Garcia was able to do. So I don't think the game plan for Rivera coming in is to be there and standing shots. I think he's going to slip, he's going to move, he's going to try to counter and then get out of range. I also think too, Rivera is 24 now. Lipinets is 34, 35 now. And so I think from a stamina standpoint, Rivera, usually his stamina is pretty good from round one all the way to when the fight is. I've seen times where Lipinets has faded, and I've seen times where he's came on strong towards the end of the fight. So we're not sure how his body is going to handle it this time around. But I think Rivera is going to play it safe, man. I think he's going to try to make it a uneventful fight. He's going to box on the outside, and he's going to do what he needs to do to try to get the win. But I think it's a safe fight, a controlled fight. He's going to have to weather the storm a little bit, but I do think Michel Rivera finds a way to get it done. I think he wins this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. It will be greatly, greatly appreciated. I don't always get to do all the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section below, but if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you. Or if you would like to support the channel by way of donation, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video, this time do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.